For a large chunk of the 19th century, Michigan produced more iron than any other state in America. When iron ore was discovered in Michigan's Upper Peninsula in 1844, a resource Native peoples had known about for centuries, it ignited a boom that spread across the state. Shipping iron and copper became significantly easier when the Soo Locks were built in 1855, connecting ship traffic between Lake Superior and Lake Huron. Manufacturing using these products was bolstered in cities on the lakes, like Detroit and Chicago. Stoves were becoming a common household item in that era, and a single stove could be used for cooking and heating a room. The reservoir was crafted from cast iron, and most stoves had a damper to control the heat that passed under it. Despite being used as a household utility, stoves were works of art, with some upscale models offering the options of enameled or galvanized reservoirs. Compared to modern kitchen stoves and furnaces, the ornament was unparalleled. As the Upper Peninsula's mines grew deeper, Detroit's stove businesses became some of America's largest. From the outside, many only see Detroit for the cars it manufactured and the buildings that those who got rich in the process built, but Detroit was a proper city before Henry Ford's assembly line. The city had three major stove manufacturers: the Detroit Stove Works, the Michigan Stove Company, and the Peninsular Stove Company. Though not as large as the Big Three, the Art Stove Company became a household name in Detroit. Eventually, the company would manufacture Laurel stoves and ranges too. By October 1894, the Art Stove Company had opened a sales room on Woodward in downtown Detroit, and business was booming. In 1900, the company's management changed and plans were made to expand the factory. The complex ran from Russell to Hastings, encompassing some 1,000 feet of railroad frontage. In 1906, the Art Stove Company purchased a parcel of land at the corner of Milwaukee and Russell, pictured here, for $5,000. They planned to build a new office building there as it was adjacent to their swelling manufacturing plant. In 1907, work began. The structure was designed by George Hunt Ingram, a young architect from Boston, and built by John Finn. The main floor was to have offices for the company, and the second floor had a lecture room for annual meetings and stove construction demonstrations, with extra space for sample stoves and a dining room for company functions. The total cost was $40,000, which is well over $1 million today. In 1923, the Detroit Stove Works, one of the Big Three, purchased the Art Stove Company. In the deal, they were set to receive the business, trade names, patents, and the company's goodwill. The golden age of the cast iron stove was already over, with many scholars agreeing that it ended before the turn of the century. Design simplified in the 1900s, and a shift from coal and wood-burning stoves to gas ranges, paired with advancements in central heating systems, made cast iron stoves obsolete to many middle and upper-class Americans. With the auto industry booming and thousands of workers flooding the middle class thanks to the jobs created by the rise in productivity, fewer urban citizens needed the cast iron stoves that helped turn Detroit into the stove city. The office building pictured here and the factory across the street were sold to Frank L. Bromley in 1925. Mr. Bromley was born around 1866 and was admitted to the Union School in 1881. He eventually started Frank L. Bromley Properties Incorporated, an industrial real estate company. It moved into 1401 East Milwaukee Avenue, pictured here, in 1925, and stayed there for at least a quarter century. Mr. Bromley retired from the company in 1949 and handed it down to his son, Walter T. Bromley Sr. 5 years after his retirement, Frank Bromley died. It isn't clear when the Bromley Company left the structure, but I'd imagine it was around the time of his retirement or not long after. The factory across the street was demolished to make way for I-75 when it was constructed. I'm unsure if it was in use then, but in the 1950s it was occupied by the Beecher, Peck, and Lewis Company, a supplier of commercial, rough, and fine paper products for industry and schools. The massive 75 and 94 interchange, just south of the former Art Stove Company, also dramatically altered the neighborhood when it was completed. Even before the Bromleys left, the office was partitioned and rented to various companies. In the late 1930s, Midwest Engineering's tool and die shop utilized some of the space. In the 1950s, the Magnaflux Corporation was renting square footage. I don't think any business took the reins as the Bromleys had, but the structure was utilized at least until the early 1990s. However, since then, it's begun to fall harshly into disrepair. Every decade or so, it seems like someone is trying to sell the building for an astronomical price. With each passing decade, the roof deteriorates further, and the freeze and thaw cycle destroys every crevice it can find. A few years ago, the owner lost it in foreclosure and the property ended up in the city's hands. The city of Detroit listed it for sale in February 2025, and it's currently listed for $295,000. That price seems high, especially considering its shoddy roof and location right next to the highway. Still, Milwaukee Junction has seen a resurgence in recent years, though to say that the highway has put this property in no man's land is an understatement. There aren't many vestiges of Detroit's stove manufacturing history left, making this building's survival all the more critical. Hopefully, a new owner will put in the time and money to preserve it and seek a historic designation, because we all know the city won't do so. If you had the cash, what would you do with this building?
If you enjoyed this, please throw a like on the video, drop a comment down below about what you think this building's actually worth, and subscribe to the channel for a new video every Friday. A lot of you who are watching these videos every week have not yet subscribed, and it really helps the channel. If you've already subscribed and want to continue supporting, you can look in the description below to buy a t-shirt that I've designed or get a print from my print store. Until next time, this building matters.